Having a really good crack. That was a great game.
Look forward to seeing you next time on the Chase Australia.
The Transport Network passes its first test as schools return. Tonight, empty car parks, buses and trains, while traffic jams hint of life returning to normal. Back finally, students return full-time, almost perfect attendance. The fight for millions in bushfire money, the fundraiser that won't help thousands of victims, now plans to challenge that decision. Monster waves off the coast, cargo lost as the swell peaks at 12 metres, 4 storeys high. Stuck in a train door on Chatswood Station, dragged down the platform, how they saved her. The plans for fans, rugby league stadiums could be open to spectators within weeks. And gone in seconds, once Australia's biggest power station, now rubble.
Live from Sydney, 7 News with Mark Ferguson.
Good evening. Sydney's big back-to-school day has gone fairly smoothly, with parents and commuters largely adhering to the city's new transport plan. While more buses are being brought in to ease crowding in some suburbs, most trains had seats to spare, with the only heavy traffic around suburban schools.
Bumper to bumper, parents queue in traffic and on footpaths outside schools across Sydney, heeding advice to drive their kids to and from school.
Traffic is hugely increased today.
The government's message getting through not to use public transport.
Most people don't want the kids on the trains. And our public transport system to date doesn't seem to have buckled under the pressure.
Many buses and trains had spare seats, platforms and bus stops almost empty, so too the new temporary car park at Moore Park.
I'm not going to give any grade till we get through a number of weeks. I think the key element out of this is people have got to get used to their different travel patterns.
Even still, the network was above the recommended capacity. Morning peak hour trips up 34,000 on last Friday when the limit was exceeded. This app, which uses government data, showed dozens of services with no space at 8:40am, most in Western Sydney.
This clearly means that there's an urgent need for an increase in capacity.
The government announcing there will be more services in hotspots tomorrow. To allow more people onto public transport, students are being advised they don't need to observe social distancing at all, even on services that are not dedicated to their schools. Instead, they should huddle together, freeing up more seats for adults. But students not in uniform need to identify themselves. These young girls forced to separate on a train at Hurstville.
It's time to wear your uniform, trying to ensure that people understand that's the purpose of their journey.
Let's go to state political reporter Alex Hart near Wynyard. Alex, where will the extra bus services be added?
Mark, they're right around Sydney, some on the North Shore and also the northern beaches, heading here to Wynyard in the heart of the CBD. Also some extra services at Port Botany, Banks Meadow, Coogee and Watsons Bay, all of those heading to Central Station. In all, 22 additional bus services for the morning peak starting from tomorrow to cope with that increased demand. Wynyard Station, Wynyard Interchange has been a bit of a problem area for overcrowding in the past few days, particularly in the mornings with tradies heading to work. So there have been extra transport marshals here tonight to try to ensure social distancing was adhered to on the run home. And the good news is tonight, just like this morning, it has been relatively incident-free despite the weather. Mark?
So far, so good. Alex Hart, thank you. Hundreds of thousands of public school students returned to the classroom full-time today after 2 months at home. The state government says it was a smooth reintroduction as many parents breathed a sigh of relief.
School's back, and with a cuddle, a high five and a goodbye, students returned to familiar territory, and some couldn't wait.
Welcome back. I'm very excited to meet my friends. We miss our friends, the teachers.
I'm feeling good. It's a good day.
9 long weeks after the government asked parents to keep children at home, today, the big return. A festive welcome, where social distancing for kids isn't required.
And we're back and we're off and we're racing. We'll catch them up, we'll take it from here.
They have better learning at school, so that's the main point.
Little concerned about how things would go in the future.
Hoping they would be fine. Yeah. We trust this.
Parents stuck to quick drop-offs, told to avoid congregating at the gate. From online learning in isolation to classroom excitement.
It's exciting to have them back in the classroom, and we're looking forward to being back into some kind of normal when it comes to education.
After a staggered return, now comes the big test: how students, parents and teachers will adjust to 5 days a week. And these days, kids are learning about a different world.
If I could just fly to Italy.
The government says today's rate of absenteeism wasn't much higher than pre-coronavirus times, and reiterated parents need to send their children back to school unless they're feeling unwell.
All choices come with consequences, and that's a matter for them.
Peter Fegan, 7 News.
Tens of millions of dollars raised by comedian Celeste Barber won't go to many victims of the devastating summer bushfires following a ruling in the Supreme Court. Instead, the money will be used for equipment, training and courses, and for injured firefighters and the families of those killed in the line of duty.
It was a crowdfunding effort for the history books, but after losing homes and livelihoods, bushfire victims won't be seeing a cent of the $51 million raised by Celeste Barber.
Her appeal was a spectacular success.
The court finding the money held in trust by the New South Wales RFS Brigade's donation fund can't be allocated to other states and charities.
Despite the trustees' wish to honour those intentions or hopes, the law provides principles that ensure a degree of certainty in the application of trust funds.
We just express our extreme gratitude to Celeste Barber for the fundraising she did. I'm sorry if people did donate inadvertently.
Victims across the country still desperate for help, like Justin and Helena Cam, who lost their home.
It is indeed disappointing.
And in Malakuta, Victoria, which still bears the scars.
It's really unfortunate, and I absolutely don't blame Celeste for that.
The money can be used to buy and maintain equipment and for training and operational costs, to support injured firefighters and the families of those killed, along with physical and mental trauma services.
There is one last hope to unlock the money for bushfire victims, a bill set to be debated at New South Wales Parliament next week. It seeks to broaden the terms of the RFS Trust.
$20 million has already been allocated. Serena Andaloro, 7 News.
Another of the state's female prison guards has been charged with having sexual relations with an inmate while on duty at Silverwater Jail. The woman had already been stood down over concerns about her relationship with another prisoner who has since been released and was by her side today.
The former prison guard and the former inmate, arm in arm and hiding under hoodies.
You know that guards should be having relationships with inmates?
Melissa Goodwin left Campbelltown Police Station with her current boyfriend and former inmate, Caleb Valeri.
When did your relationship start with Caleb? You and your dad?
The one-time poster girl for corrective services who made the cover of the Internal magazine, Goodwin posted racy photos with Valeri on social media, sparking an investigation by corrective services. She was stood down with pay for failing to declare a relationship with a former inmate. But during that investigation, police say they uncovered evidence of an earlier relationship with yet another inmate. Corey London is doing more than 6 years for armed robbery, and police will say Goodwin and London were connected between last November and February this year. It will be alleged not only did she write love letters, their relationship went much further.
The allegation is that there were 5 sexual acts, separate incidents at the facility in Sydney's West.
Goodwin has been suspended from her role at Silverwater and will now have to answer to a magistrate at Burwood Local Court in 6 weeks. Evan Batten, 7 News.
Those huge waves battering our coast have found another target, a container ship. The APL England got into trouble 70 kilometres southeast of Sydney yesterday, losing some of its cargo overboard. Tonight, other containers are balancing precariously.
Limping north, containers listing toppled over in the Sydney swell that is so far relentless. Some crushed, others on the edge, and according to the ship's company, at least 40 lost at sea.
Another 70-odd are damaged on board, and at this stage we believe there's around 9 or 10 that are quite precariously hanging off the vessel.
The APL England had been heading to Melbourne when it ran into trouble off Wollongong. Its propulsion system gave way, and in the monster swell began to roll severely. Some of the lost cargo sank, but some are still a threat.
Unfortunately, ships do lose containers, and most of them do go to the bottom. Some of them do float, and they pose a hazard when they are floating.
And these are the conditions that did the damage. HMAS Canberra, one of our largest warships, assaulted by the seas off Jervis Bay. That deck 25 metres above the waterline. Surfers too managing to hover above the waves. For a fourth straight day, the conditions too good to miss. The East Coast low making this a surfer's paradise and a captain's nightmare. That ship heading to port in Brisbane, hoping it won't lose any more of its cargo. Nina Stevens, 7 News.
The Prime Minister will argue he needs to take the economy out of ICU during a major speech in Canberra tomorrow. Scott Morrison will detail more of his government's roadmap out of the COVID crisis. Today, his Treasurer tried to defend the massive JobKeeper miscalculation.
The good and the bad of a $60 billion blunder.
The good news, badly implemented.
Good news for the taxpayer.
Badly communicated.
Good news for the budget.
Badly budgeted.
From what it wasn't.
It wasn't a target, it wasn't a ceiling, it was an initial estimate.
To what Labor says it is.
The worst budget stuff-up in the history of the Commonwealth.
But one that has saved $60 billion. Some might be redirected towards further support for the tourism and aviation sectors, but not to include those left out of JobKeeper, like public university staff.
21,000 full-time equivalent jobs are on the line at universities across Australia.
Or short-term casuals or workers in arts and entertainment.
The Treasurer's already made clear there are not going to be any wholesale changes to the program.
Hundreds of thousands now on the dole or drawing down on their super. $13.2 billion in early access to super. A third of applicants, 450,000, aged under 30.
We're robbing from future generations. Australians have had to pay for their own stimulus.
Tomorrow, Scott Morrison will outline his government's plan to revive the Australian economy. The timeline between 3 and 5 years. His marketing line: it's time to take the economy out of the ICU. A shake-up of skills training and vocational education and stepping onto a traditional political battlefield. Major reforms to industrial relations, putting the new consensus between government, business and unions to serious test. Mark Riley, 7 News. A date for the Eden Monero by-election has been set after the federal Labor member Mike Kelly quit for health reasons. Voters will head to the polls on the 4th of July. Labor's candidate, former Bega Mayor Christy McBain, is favourite. The Liberal candidate, Fiona Cotvoys, began her campaign with Scott Morrison yesterday. An earthquake has sent tremors through the New Zealand capital with the 5.8 magnitude quake, followed by aftershocks that span nearly the entire length of the country. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern was live on TV, staying calm as Wellington began to shake.
But it is... We're just having a bit of an earthquake here, Ryan. Quite a decent shake here.
No injuries or structural damage have been reported. There are fears US-China relations are edging closer to breaking point, with one White House official likening the alleged COVID-19 cover-up to Chernobyl, that after China made threats of a new Cold War with America. The battle escalating as the US took action against the new pandemic epicentre, Brazil.
For a second day, Donald Trump headed for the golf course after more swings at China over the pandemic.
This is a hit. It came out of China. It's a very terrible thing, and they could have stopped it if they wanted to. They could have stopped it. Either it was incompetent or they didn't want to.
But as his tone has changed...
It came out of China, and it's one of those things that happen. Nobody's fault.
So has China's. Its foreign minister today accused politicians of fabricating lies and conspiracies. Some American political forces are pushing Sino-US relations to a so-called new Cold War. The White House unrepentant, comparing China's actions to a disaster from the old Cold War days.
The cover-up that they did of the virus is going to go down in history along with Chernobyl.
Taking action today, targeting the world's newest hotspot. hotspot. Visitors from Brazil banned from entering the US as the virus spreads out of control in its poorest areas.
I'm very afraid because we are reaching levels of mortality each day that is very, very bad.
Brazil's president and friend of Donald Trump is against social distancing, here mixing with anti-lockdown protesters, but at another event heckled and called a killer. In the United States, Paul Kadak, 7 News.
The increased US-China trade tensions didn't worry the Australian share market, which has started the week strongly. Finance editor Gemma Acton joins me now. Gemma, how did the market finish up today?
Well, Mark, Aussie shares look straight past those trade tensions to finish sharply higher. The ASX 200 rising by 118 points or 2.2% to hit its highest close since March 11. After a turbulent ride for travel stocks, Webjet was today's best performer, closely followed by Flight Centre, both up by more than 15%. The travel sector is now sensing we're closer to a reopening of state borders and the return of domestic travel. Another strong day too for the buy now, pay later company Afterpay, up around 9%, along with Australia's biggest debt collector, Credit Corp, which had a similar gain. But the threat of growing trade tensions still concerns financial markets, so we'll be keeping a very close eye on those developments. Mark.
OK, Gemma, thank you. We all know of COVID, and now there's COVAX, a potential coronavirus vaccine being developed by scientists at Flinders University in Adelaide. They say early tests on animals have been extremely promising. Now they're about to ask Australian volunteers to give it a go.
It's been tested on mice, monkeys and ferrets. Now Australian scientists are about to try a potential COVID-19 vaccine on people.
We're anticipating we'll start human trials of our vaccine here in Adelaide in 4 to 6 weeks' time.
They'll advertise soon for up to 100 volunteers and promise it'll be safe.
The subjects will not be exposed to any live viral material.
COVAX-19 is modelled on other successful vaccines developed here.
And the results are looking extremely promising.
Australia is really important in the race towards a vaccine.
Combating a virus now challenging health services around the world, the researcher behind the vaccine has a controversial theory about how that may have happened.
That it may have come from an accidental release from a laboratory.
A belief shared by Donald Trump and slammed by China, where the virus originated. Experts say it need not have been a weapon, just research that got out of hand.
It's very clear that this virus has come from animals. It was not the product of genetic manipulation, but it escaped from a lab and probably in China.
The Adelaide trials are expected to take at least until the end of the year. Chris Marr, 7 News.
We have exclusive new details tonight on the push to get NRL fans back into the stands. With the first Sydney game kicking off on Friday night, league officials want spectators back by July, but with very strict conditions.
Getting the NRL back in the game has defied the odds, but there's a new battle to get the crowds back in the stadiums.
There's probably less risk in an open stadium than there is in an enclosed area in a pub or club.
He's told 7 News every spectator would need a temperature check before admission, as well as the government's COVID Safe app.
The next 2 weeks is crucial to see how the infection rate's affected with the relaxation of the social distancing measures.
He says up to 20,000 fans could socially distance at ANZ Stadium, perhaps 5,000 at Cogra and Bank West, possibly 7,500. No games for 2 months hasn't stopped the Parramatta Stadium kicking a goal, winning an international award.
Just goes to prove that this is a world-class stadium right here in Western Sydney.
Thanks to features like rain harvesting and special environmental lighting, all powered with 300 solar panels.
Lead gold usually goes to office towers and houses.
Above all, this is one of the best places in the world to watch footy, and while the stadium has been awarded today for sustainability, ironically these seats are useless until the first fans walk back through the gates.
Oh mate, I won't lie, it's tough playing without a crowd.
But the idea of getting them back by July is still in the sin bin.
We're not in that space yet.
Tom Saker, 7 News.
Time now for a check on our soggy weather. Here's Brownie.
Yeah, thanks, Fergo. Cold and wet today. Showers increased a short time ago. And yes, we're in for a wet night, so take care on the roads. As we go to the radar, we can see the shower activity picking up over the past couple of hours. Rainfall totals are building. Drenching falls of up to 20 millimetres are likely as we head towards midnight. Now, we're expecting more showers are in the wind tomorrow. The bulk of the activity gradually contracting towards the coast as the day wears on. According to our latest computer model run, up to 10 millimetres is possible in the city tomorrow, a little less in our west for your Tuesday. But right now, have a look at this. It feels like 6 degrees in this rather vigorous south to southeasterly airstream. In Parramatta at the moment, the air temperature is 15 degrees. High in the Blue Mountains, the wind chill has dropped back to 1 degree in Katoomba. Detailed local forecast, top of the hour, Fergo.
See you then, Brownie. Thank you. Apple left her inner west home to visit family and hasn't been seen since. After the break, have you seen this woman? The 6-month search that has baffled police. Netanyahu on trial, why James Packer's linked to the Israeli Prime Minister's corruption charges. Pool party danger, shocking scenes as revellers ignore COVID orders. Later crashing down, a power station destroyed in seconds. And who's the real Tiger King? Benji's back with no plans to end his legendary career.
7 News, brought to you by Aussie.
Home. It's not just a place we're stuck in. It's home-cooked meals, home workouts, homeschooling, working from home, home movie nights, and movie days. It's see you when I get home. Your home means more than ever, and so does having the right home loan. To understand your options, go straight to Aussie. We'll help ensure you have the right loan for right now.
Just 1 point separates them all.
This is the week that counts.
But what happens when the judges don't agree?
Really clever space.
The bathroom.
Dividing this whole room up. You have to move in and out.
The bedroom.
This is the sort of detail that you'd see in a grand Hamptons home.
You're wrong.
You be the judge.
I literally stopped breathing.
Who could get eliminated on New House Rules? Tonight, 7:30.
Outside, it's something to look at. But inside, it's a space to be. A space we fit our lives into. A space that brings us closer. That spans generations. Where we go to let go. In a Mazda, this space is 100 years in the making. And summed up in 2 words. Zum zum.
Come on, everyone!
Donate some of your data to kids who need it most and power their potential.
Good, I've missed it.
Guys, we've got another jackpot winner.
Ozphoto, will your numbers bring you a truckload of cash this Tuesday?
Play now in-store at thelot.com or on the Lot app.
Omtanke isn't just a word. It's a new perspective. A considerate, more caring one. Omtanke shines a brighter light on the things that really matter. And that helps us focus on making those things better. On making the world better. Omtanke. We welcome you to try it. Volvo.
Tasty, affordable and delicious. What's for dinner in the next break with Coles?
Welcome back. Detectives have renewed calls for information into the mystery disappearance of a Concord West woman. 43-year-old Kui Ping Yuong, also known as Apple, was last seen at Central Railway Station on November the 1st last year. Her bank accounts have not been touched.
She can approach us discreetly and confidentially and talk to us and let us know that she is alive and well.
Apple was the sole carer for her 82-year-old husband. Israel's longest-serving Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is now the country's first to go on trial while in office. Facing 3 corruption cases, one involving billionaire James Packer, the Israeli leader denies any wrongdoing, claiming his opponents are out to topple him.
Masked but not shying away from a fight. Israel's leader in court and defiant.
אזרחי ישראל, מה שעומד היום למשפט זה הניסיון לסכל את רצון העם.
In power since 2009, Netanyahu says this is the new campaign to topple him, and these pictures are the propaganda. He's accused of granting $780 million in regulatory favours to a telco and promoting one newspaper over another, all in return for favourable press coverage. It's also claimed he accepted around $300,000 in gifts, mainly champagne and cigars, from James Packer and a Hollywood producer to help advance their business interests. The case is dividing opinion. To opponents, he's the crime minister.
The court is going to send him to jail.
But for his loyal supporters,
he's the best leader, one of the big leaders in the world.
Israel has been through more than 500 days of political turmoil, 3 failed elections, now a power-sharing agreement. Just hours before he was in court, he was here, chairing the new government's first cabinet meeting and resisting calls to stand down.
It's time to say to Netanyahu thank you, but enough is enough.
The trial and any appeals could run for years. Amelia Brace, 7 News.
Alarming images of Americans celebrating their Memorial Day long weekend have sparked fears of more COVID outbreaks to come. Hundreds of people ignored social distancing orders as they crammed into a pool party in Missouri. Crowds also gathering at Florida's Daytona Beach, scenes replicated from coast to coast with no masks in sight. There was a grim reminder from the New York Times listing the names of 1,000 victims as the country's death toll nears 100 times that. Pope Francis has blessed worshippers gathered at the Vatican for the first time since Italy's coronavirus lockdown began. The pontiff made a brief appearance from the papal window as those below observed social distancing and wore protective masks. The area undergoing deep cleaning to make it as COVID-free as possible. 2 teenagers are in custody. 3 suspected killers remain on the run. Still to come, police search for evidence and a motive in our northwest. Diabetes warning the disease linked to a spike in cancer and dementia. Months on end, the dire bushfire predictions as Royal Commission hearings begin. Plus, the cheat and the coward, why the British media is savaging the PM and his top advisor.
Hello, Angela. I have been watching you.
I came from Africa with nothing but a suitcase. My family is everything. I love my children. At home, I'm a mom. At work, I'm a boss. I can be all that and more.
I got a baby. I am Big Brother, and I've chosen you.
I'll do anything to win.
Oh, really? How do you plan to eliminate the others?
I'll sweet talk you during the day and I'll vote you out at night with a smile. Mean, but I like it.
I am Big Brother. Who wins? You decide.
Hi everyone, Kylie Miller here. Tonight I'm going to share with you a recipe that's going to transport you to Italy and back without even leaving your own kitchen. It's my roast pumpkin, spinach and ricotta caramelli pasta. The first thing we're going to do is make our filling for the pasta. So for the roast pumpkin, all I've done is popped a piece of pumpkin in the oven with the skin and the seeds still in there, a little bit of salt, a little bit of oil, and roasted it until it's nice and soft. You leave it to cool and it's really easy to peel. So all you need to do is just pull off the skin, taking out the seeds, and just using a spoon, just break it up. So we're going to season up the pumpkin with a little bit of salt and some pepper. And then that's our first filling ready to go. The next one, we've got some ricotta and just some frozen spinach that I've squeezed all the moisture out of there. A little bit of salt and pepper again, and then give it a good mix. We have our 2 fillings and we're ready to assemble. Instead of making pasta at home, what I'm using are some fresh lasagna sheets, and we're just going to cut them to size. So I'm cutting them into 3. Just going to lay them out. So I can take some of the ricotta filling, some of the pumpkin. I'm just going to put a little bit of egg wash around the pasta and then just rolling it up. So it's like a little bonbon, a Christmas cracker. The next thing we're going to do is to cook our pasta and make a brown butter and sage sauce to go with it. So all I'm going to do first, is into a pan, just pop some butter and let that melt down. At the same time I've got some water just on a really slow simmer, and we're going to pop our caramelle pastas into the water. So probably about 5 to 7 minutes. And the butter is starting to smell delicious. It's slowly starting to get a little bit of a caramelly colour. I've got some sage that I'm just going to pick the leaves off and throw it in. So I've just put all the pasta in the pan, give it a good swirl around so you're coating the pasta with all that beautiful brown butter and sage. And I'm just going to finish it with a little bit of lemon juice just to brighten it up. So we're ready to plate the pasta. The pasta water and the butters combine really nicely together to create a really rich, creamy sauce. And I'm just going to put it into the serving dish. I'm going to add a little bit of salt on top, and there you have it. My roast pumpkin, spinach and ricotta caramelle pasta. For this recipe and more What's for Dinner recipes, visit coles.com.au.
Welcome back. The annual fire season across much of eastern Australia has grown by almost 4 months and is set to become more severe. That warning emerged on day 1 of hearings at the Bushfire Royal Commission, with risk experts also arguing other wild weather events are on the rise.
Summer's orange terror. Countless towns and villages forced to flee, 12.5 million hectares blackened.
It wasn't really a bushfire, it was something else.
At least 33 killed.
Good morning.
Now, weather scientists warn the Bushfire Royal Commission.
Australia-wide, 2019 was our hottest and driest year on record.
Parts of eastern Australia now have a fire season that can begin at the end of winter and run almost 4 months longer than it did mid-last century.
All of Australia, we're seeing a longer fire season with more fire danger days during that season.
These more dangerous summers,
at least in part due to increasing greenhouse gas emissions.
And that link with climate means the Royal Commission is hearing of threats well beyond bushfires. Insurance specialists have told the hearing dangerous cyclones are likely to move further south, including into southeast Queensland, parts of New South Wales and southwest Western Australia.
Increasingly be exposed to cyclones going forward.
As well, more of these. Canberra's brief but brutal January hailstorm, 70,000 insurance claims.
We think there's going to be a higher frequency of the more severe, the giant hail.
The Royal Commission is due to report in August. Tim Lester, 7 News.
Detectives investigating the stabbing murder of a Riverstone man on Saturday night have spent a second day gathering key evidence in the hunt for 3 young killers. Kevin Cordes was stabbed to death in front of his roommate and new girlfriend.
Really, really scary. And then we heard pol air and everything.
2 teenagers already in custody have now faced court, but police say the pair is refusing to give up their mates who are still on the run. Boris Johnson's party has begun turning on him as he tries to defend his senior advisor accused of flouting lockdown rules. One newspaper has labelled Dominic Cummings and the British Prime Minister a cheat and a coward. Even the Conservative Daily Mail asked what planet are they on. Now police have been asked to investigate.
Boris Johnson hasn't given a press conference in 2 weeks, but this damaging scandal he can't ignore.
Is this government asking you, the people, the public, to do one thing, while senior people here in government do something else?
His most senior advisor, the centre of a political storm.
How many times have you left London during the lockdown, Miss Cummings? The nation would love to know.
Dominic Cummings accused of travelling hundreds of kilometres to his parents' hometown while his wife had coronavirus symptoms, along with their 4-year-old child.
I believe that in every respect he has acted responsibly and legally and with integrity.
Outside Dominic Cummings' home today, a reminder of the government's messaging.
You must stay at home.
Dominic Cummings wields enormous influence, the mastermind of the Brexit campaign and Boris Johnson's election strategy. But even Brexiteers have had enough.
I'm afraid Dominic just won't play ball with these norms of democracy.
Pundits believe Boris Johnson is quickly burning through valuable political capital by continuing to defend his right-hand man at a time when the government is trying to ease the British public out of lockdown after one of the deadliest COVID outbreaks in the world. Now facing a police investigation, Dominic Cummings emerged from number 10 in a T-shirt and tracksuit pants, safe in his job, but facing the wrath of his neighbours. In London, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
New research has found people with type 2 diabetes are at much greater risk of dementia and some deadly cancers. Making it worse, COVID-19 concerns mean many aren't getting checked, missing the chance to catch any worrying developments early.
Warren Bingham was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes 3 years ago. It's not just the metabolic disease he's managing, he's also 60% more likely to develop dementia.
It's a pretty scary statistic.
Researchers at the Baker Heart and Diabetes Institute analysed data from more than 2 million people, finding those with type 2 diabetes are 8 times more likely to develop heart failure. For bowel cancer, a 50% greater risk. Breast cancer is 20%, and they're 10 times more likely to get end-stage kidney disease. The link worrying for type 2 diabetic and colon cancer survivor Robert Miller.
You've got to be proactive about looking after yourself.
And even more so for type 2 diabetics under 40 who will live with the disease for decades. It's estimated it could shave 6 years off their life.
It's one thing to be diagnosed and to be living with a chronic disease, but then to go through and learn that there are bigger and greater risks out there. It's not a pleasant thing to have to think about.
These numbers are particularly concerning to diabetes support groups who say they've seen a decline in patients getting their regular checks and blood tests since the start of COVID-19.
Going to your GP, going to your diabetes health professional is really, really critical, even during this period.
Amber Laidler, 7 News.
Researchers in Victoria are about to embark on an interesting experiment hoping to find a treatment for COVID-19. They'll inject 25 coronavirus patients with a serum made from blood taken from a baby's umbilical cord. The cord and placenta contain powerful stem cells, the building blocks from which all other cells are made. It's hoped the procedure will allow the patients to fight off the virus. If successful, it could lead to a cure by next year. 8 chimneys, each standing over 100 metres, have been brought crashing to earth. After the break, gone in 60 seconds. The Aussie power station reduced to rubble. Later, not worth the risk, how this dash for a train almost turned deadly. Life-saving boost. Who stepped in to keep this vital children's charity flying?
Soon in sport, Benji Marshall's message to fellow NRL players ahead of the competition restart. Plus, we're live to Eels training.
Cold and somewhat showery today, not so cold tomorrow. Details soon.
I'm your dad. Why'd you choose now to come and find me? You're just taking me for a ride.
When he finds out the true reason his dad's here, it could break his heart.
You need to tell him what's going on. If you don't tell him, I will.
Home and Away, next on 7.
Hi, Chris. As one of our Care Super members, let's go see your super at work. Hold on. I'll show you some of the opportunities and possibilities that are being explored for you. Your super should work as hard as you do, so we're making sure it does.
With Toyota Warranty Advantage covering you for at least 5 years, still feeling it, Mick?
Toyota value stays with you, like Kluger 2-wheel drive GX Auto. Drive away from $41,990. Older feeling. Toyota.
Aussie macadamias. Not only are they a delicious snack, they even help put you in a good mood when someone's been driving you nuts. Warning, may contain traces of nuts and nut-based puns. Aussie fruit, veg and nuts. The good mood food.
Dad!
Oh, sorry. It's funny.
Dad!
Party purpose.
Bring your family together.
Introducing Optus Family Plan with 4 SIMs and 250 gigs of data to share.
Rugby league hardman Corey Parker has won it all. He doesn't do gags, he doesn't do pranks, but he does play KFC Supercoach. Register today at supercoach.com.au.
Employees of Budget Direct. Over 20 years, you have become the country's most award-winning insurer, providing top-notch cover for more than 3 million Australians. Will you fight to save people on their car and home insurance? Who are you?
Proudly saving Australians on insurance for 20 years. Budget Direct. Insurance solved.
Make sure you're totally ready when it's time to present to your most important audience ever. Unlike ordinary toothpaste, Colgate Total's breakthrough formula actively fights bacteria on your teeth, tongue, cheeks and gums for 12 hours, keeping your whole mouth healthy. Colgate Total. Be totally ready for life.
Checking the markets now, and as we mentioned earlier, the ASX 200 reached an 11-week high, up 118 points today. A stronger day for banks. The NAB climbed 2.7% to $15.75. But it wasn't all good news, with mining stocks among the hardest hit. And our dollar is buying 65.3 US cents. Fuel prices are falling across Sydney. The average is $1.06.4 a litre, but we found regular unleaded for just 94.9 cents at Power Fuel Granville. Children's charity Little Wings, which provides free flights for regional children needing life-saving hospital treatment here in Sydney, has received a welcome boost after the corona crisis cut its funding. St George Bank has agreed to a 2-year sponsorship deal so patients like Henley can avoid hours on the road.
We can be home to our house in Wagga within 2 hours rather than driving for 6.
Little Wings helps 150 families each year. Half a century of history has come crashing down in Victoria's Latrobe Valley as thousands watched online and on the side of the road. Hazelwood Power Station's 8 chimneys were toppled in a series of perfectly timed explosions.
After producing electricity for decades, the chimney stacks at the former Hazelwood Power Station produced a spectacular farewell to the Latrobe Valley.
It's 10 to 12 months of pre-work and planning and preparation.
The 8 stacks had towered over residents of nearby Morwell since the 60s, and the plant employed many of them.
I had 33 years of shift work at Hazelwood.
It's a sad day. So many people have lost their jobs.
For some people, this event represents change and renewal. For others, it's the end of an era.
An era of old energy and a symbol of past prosperity, but more recently a fire that burned for 45 days. It was known as Australia's dirtiest power station when it closed in 2017.
Sad to see the old girl go, but that's life.
Locals crowded to watch the demolition outside the half-a-kilometre exclusion zone. The 137-metre high concrete chimneys were crumbling and had lasted more than twice the recommended lifespan. The only solution? Demolition.
Cool as.
For 55 years, the towers have been a local landmark, and this morning in just 40 seconds, they were all gone. Now, once the dust settles, the clean-up begins. The open-cut mine is expected to become a lake, so big it'll take 11 years to fill. A new landmark for a new era. Paul Dowsley, 7 News.
There's been a delicate underwater operation to relocate 53 endangered seahorses. The rare species were rehomed after 2 large colonies were discovered at foreshore construction sites in Sydney Harbour. Divers spent hours in the water carefully collecting the animals before they were taken to a new top-secret location. Stuck in a train door and dragged along the platform, the frightening moment a woman's life hung in the balance, the quick-thinking witnesses who saved her, and a warning to public transport users everywhere. Don't miss that story soon on 7 News. But now Mel is here with Sport. Mel, once again, Eels fans are daring to dream.
Definitely this year, Fergo. Here we go again. The pressure is on and the captain doesn't have a problem with it. We'll cross live to Parramatta training next. Plus, West Tigers star Benji Marshall facing the tough questions. Who would he rather be, the other Tiger King or Michael Jordan? And speaking of Tigers, sporting royalty raised millions on a golf course, but it was the star quarterback, not Tiger or Phil, who stole the show.
Just 1 point separates them all.
This is a week that counts.
But what happens when the judges don't agree?
Really clever space.
The bathroom.
Dividing this whole room up. You have to move in and out.
The bedroom.
This is the sort of detail that you'd see in a grand Hamptons home.
You're wrong.
You be the judge.
I literally stopped breathing.
Who could get eliminated on New House Rules? Tonight, 7:30.
As this year continues to be a challenging one for all of us, NRMA Insurance remains dedicated to helping Australians. We've introduced a customer help program with a range of relief options to assist customers currently in need. If you're experiencing financial hardship, call us today to find out how we can tailor help options for you.
There's a glass and a half in everyone.
Right now, businesses are doing whatever they can to take care of their business and their staff, and that's why many are choosing to expand online. But taking your business online can be tricky. And that's where CommBank e-commerce solutions come in.
CommBank helped me sell my products online securely so people can enjoy my restaurants in their living rooms.
We're here to help businesses get up and running online so they can stay up and running.
And we can, together.
The COVID-19 crisis brings unprecedented internet traffic over the NBN network. To help support Australia during this time, we currently offer internet providers up to 40% increased network capacity. Our technicians are still on the ground, connecting homes and businesses. And we're sharing updated tips to help you get more from your home setup. To find out more, visit nbn.com.au/response.
Introducing BP Rewards. Earn BP points to spend in store.
BP Rewards.
Or get dollars off fuel.
BP Rewards.
Or choose to earn Qantas points.
Totally BP Rewards.
Start earning today. Your rewards, your way.
The power's in your hands and at your feet. The BMW 320i sedan from 69,900 drive away. Joy is coming.
Welcome back. Most teams look to downplay their premiership hopes, but that's not the case with Parramatta this year. We go live now to Chief League reporter Michelle Bishop at Eels training in a very wet Kellyville. Hello, Shell. The Eels, they are embracing the hype.
Good evening, Mel. Yes, it is very wet. It's actually pouring, as you can see. We're on the right side of the fence, well and truly out of the bubble, the safe spot. But as you say, they are embracing all the hype. Like for years now, it's the title. They've been battling that title defence. You know yourself as a long-suffering Eels fan. It's 3 decades now over that they've tried to win the title. But their captain, Clint Gutherson, he's actually embraced it as they gear up to take on the Brisbane Broncos on Thursday night for the season restart. Thursday night can't come quick enough for the Eels.
You have to live up to the pressure if you want to win it, and it's there now, and as a team we just got to win games.
Expectations are high for a team that's intent on establishing itself as a battle-hardened title contender. Frustrations boiled over during a heated opposed session with their reserve grade side on Saturday. Coach Brad Arthur says he had to step in to settle things down.
Regan, the big fella, tried to get a dog shot on me. But look, that's just part of footy.
Yeah, it did. It got a little bit heated, and it's only friendly, and
you shake hands after you're done.
The Eels expect to confront a fired-up Broncos outfit at Suncorp Stadium on Thursday night after last year's 58-0 finals hiding.
We're just looking forward to getting out there and sort of trying to stamp what we want to again.
And the Knights are poised to make Kalen Ponga one of the game's highest paid players. The star fullback set to sign an upgraded deal worth more than $1 million a season, keeping him at the club until 2024. But while Ponga's sticking around, 7 News can reveal Andrew McCulloch's stay in Newcastle will be brief. He's close to signing with the Bulldogs for next season. Michelle Bishop, 7 News.
Benji Marshall is hoping he can play 18 straight games plus finals to prove he can play again next year. The Tigers resume against some hungry young Sharks on Saturday.
After some strange days, the real Tiger King is back in business.
I don't know if I want to be known as the Tiger King after watching that doco. I think I'd rather be Michael Jordan there.
But Benji Marshall won't be declaring any kind of last stand.
Mate, I haven't even got through 1 week yet of playing again. If I can get through 18 weeks in a row, I'll probably assess it after that.
At 35, in his 18th season, Marshall still has the magic to thrive under new one ref and 6 to go rules. The X-Man from the Shire could do anything.
Oh, I look skinny.
The teen speed machine Bronson Sherry did 3 sessions a week with sprint guru Roger Fabry during the lockdown.
I think I'm a lot faster than what I was last year, so I'm keen to show that this Saturday coming. We're getting timed every session, and I was just getting faster and faster.
Right at the start of the season, Sherry was the first NRL player tested for coronavirus.
And I just thought, I was going to shut down the whole NRL. My family was on hold. They couldn't go to work.
After 9 uncertain weeks, they all hope this week is for real.
We get to play rugby league for a living, so I think that's an important message for our players, is just to be grateful that we're back and playing.
Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
Well, 4 American sporting megastars have raised $30 million for COVID-19 relief. Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson joined NFL greats Peyton Manning and Tom Brady for a special golf event in Florida. Well, after a nightmare start, Brady turned it around in style at the 7th.
Yeah. Oh, go in! Yeah! Goodness! You made it! Wow!
Ridiculous. Well, Brady remained the butt of jokes, though, after splitting his pants. Woods and Manning defeated Mickelson and Brady 1-up. Well, after an enormous response to last night's story on BMX racer Kai Sakakibara, we want to share an update on his recovery. After 7 weeks in Liverpool Hospital's brain injury unit for 7 weeks, as mentioned, the Olympic hopeful has thrilled doctors with his progress.
That's a component that we can see in Kai, that the athlete is there. Every week there's been significant improvements.
Well, one of Kai's next goals is to walk with his physios, and you definitely guarantee, Fergo, this young man is going to achieve that. He's a wonderful young man. As we mentioned, a huge response, a lot of people affected by him. We certainly wish him well with his recovery. A beautiful family.
Yeah, made so much progress. We do wish him all the best. Good on you, Mel.
Thanks.
A quick thinking platform attendant is credited with saving the life of a young woman whose arm got stuck in train doors as it pulled out of the station. She was being dragged as horrified bystanders looked on. All caught on video, exclusive to 7 News.
It's just after 5 p.m. at Chatswood Station. Commuters eager to get home hustle aboard. A few latecomers get on, but as the doors close, a young woman runs to jam her hand in the opening, expecting them to spring open. They don't. Then that sound turns fear into panic as the 400-ton train takes off.
It's dangerous behaviour. She could have had a very serious injury.
As a bystander raises the alarm, the platform attendant reacts instantly, alerting a guard who stops the train within a few metres.
It's the vigilance of the guards and the platform staff that would have stopped it.
Sydney train doors are designed to open when obstructed, but this woman's wrist was too slim to trigger the mechanism.
There is a tolerance in terms of being able to actually get something small in there.
That passenger was badly shaken, though thankfully not injured. She declined first aid and hopped on the next train. Sydney Trains has managed to reduce the number of injuries to less than 3 per 1 million passenger journeys, but that's still a lot when you consider the massive increase in train usage. Train patronage was up 34% in the last 5 years to nearly 400 million passengers a year, but down 90% during the lockdown. As passengers return, they're being reminded to mind the gap and not take chances.
there will be other trains coming, so don't put yourself at risk.
Brian Seymour, 7 News.
David is back now with the latest forecast, Brandy. Cold and wet today. What about tomorrow?
Yeah, you'll need a brolly and a warm jacket tomorrow, Fergo. Of course, I'll have your forecast straight after the break.
Tonight on the latest from 7 News, as high tide hits, we're tracking severe weather on the east and west coast. After the government's $60 billion JobKeeper era, we look at how the rest of your subsidies are being spent. And live to Hong Kong as protesters erupt on the streets. That is the latest from 7 News tonight at 10 p.m.
I'm your dad. Why'd you choose now to come and find me? You're just taking me for a ride.
When he finds out the true reason his dad's here, it could break his heart.
You need to tell him what's going on. If you don't tell him, I will.
Home and Away, next on 7.
Someone's saving on kitchen stuff from eBay.
Yeah, that's where I get all my essentials from. Just magically turns up on my door.
And how do you think that happens?
I
Oh. Hi.
Hi, Mum, it's me. I'm just checking in.
Oh, hi, darling. Can you hear me?
Yes, but it's a video call, so move the phone away from your ear.
No, wait on. Can't see you. Oh, yeah, there you are. Hi.
So good to see your face, Mum.
You too, dear.
You don't need Australia's best network until you do.
What am I looking forward to? Well, I just really want what I have today.
The more life changes, the more you know what's important. MLC.
Can care be better at home?
Someone from Medibank mentioned that there's a chance I can do rehab at home.
I said, oh, how much extra is that going to cost?
And they said, no, you've got it in your hospital cover. It just was fantastic for me.
Introducing new U-Foods grocery range. Get your week sorted with affordable, convenient groceries. Delivered safely to your door. Fresh, everyday items like poultry, meat, vegetables, dairy, and our delicious ready-made meals. Standing behind our local Aussie growers and helping you stay safe. We got you, Australia. ufoods.com.
Tough times don't excuse tougher times at home. Even in crisis, there's no place for abuse or domestic violence. If you or someone you know is affected, help is available online and by phone 24/7. For free, confidential advice, support and counselling for women and men, contact 1-800-RESPECT. There's no place for abuse or domestic violence. Help is here. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Employees of Budget Direct. Over 20 years, you have become the country's most award-winning insurer, providing top-notch cover for more than 3 million Australians. Will you fight to save people on their car and home insurance? Who are you?
Proudly saving Australians on insurance for 20 years. Budget Direct. Insurance solved.
It doesn't matter where you're going if you enjoy getting there. The BMW X1 S-Drive 18i from $49,900 drive away. Joy is coming.
You're right there for every heart-pounding emergency.
That's the biggest damn fire I've seen.
New 911, tonight on 7.
This weather report brought to you by the BMW 3 Series.
Online Eyes, exploiting our rush to reconnect. The investigation that'll change the way you use social media on 7 News at 6.
Tonight, 7 News headlines: a pass mark for Sydney's public transport today, with even more peak hour bus services to be added. Thousands of bushfire victims have been denied access to funds raised by Celeste Barber. The container ship off our coast has lost part of its cargo after being battered by huge waves. And the NRL says temperature checks and the COVID Safe app are key to putting fans back in stadiums. Now, with the latest on our weather, here's David.
Thanks very much, Fergo. Cold and showery today. Yes, the showers increased just a short time ago and we are expecting more wet weather tomorrow. Today's top, well, it fell on the low side of normal by something like 3 degrees. There's the maximum, 15.6, around about mid-afternoon, and it was a much colder day in the Blue Mountains. Check out Katoomba, less than 10 degrees all day. Rainfall, well, the biggest total since 9 o'clock this morning, a little place called Little Bay, something like 33 millimetres. Most of that, though, has fallen in the past 2 hours and less than a millimetre at Parramatta since 9 o'clock this morning. But the recent rain has led to an increase in our total water storage. It now stands at 81.8% capacity. As we go to the satellite, we have this low parked over the Tasman Sea. It continues to drive our weather. Of course, the system has dominated since Friday last week. Upstream, though, you'll notice there's a complex cold front. This system is crossing the Great Australian Bight. But back in our part of the world, for the next 24 hours, the low will continue to drive showers, mainly east of the Great Dividing Range. The big waves that have been pounding our coast should gradually abate. Interstate tomorrow. Sunny weather's on the way for Melbourne, although it's a cold start, down to 5 degrees. Should reach a high of around 18. For Perth, cold and showery, 17 degrees. As we head north into Brisbane, clear skies and a mild high of around 24 degrees. Now, strong wind warning covers most of our coastal waters tomorrow, remaining dry and sunny west of the Great Dividing Range. Just some scattered showers along parts of the coast and also the adjoining eastern slopes as well. We're expecting some showers in our backyard tomorrow. Most of the activity should gradually contract to the coast later in the day. Potentially up to 10 millimetres in the city, maybe a little bit less in the outer west, more around the western slopes, or I should say the eastern slopes of the Blue Mountains. But the thing that'll stand out tomorrow is the wind chill. It will be extreme right along the coastal fringe, but that southeasterly wind is expected to gradually ease to around 15 to 25 knots by late morning, and those big seas abating. For the city, yes, a few more showers rolling through, gradually easing towards evening. Our forecast top there is 19 degrees. As for the next 7 days, let's go to that outlook now. There it is. Wednesday, just some coastal showers, fine in our west. A foggy start is likely in our west on Thursday, becoming unsettled Friday afternoon with a few showers popping up. That's the latest weather. High wind chill tomorrow, Fergo.
Cold, wet and windy.
Indeed.
Thank you, Brownie. That is 7 News for this Monday. We'll have updates for you throughout the evening. I'm Mark Ferguson from all the team. I hope you have a great night.